Of course, I'm a believer in science and evolution, but I'm also a believer in God, and not only that in God, but that I am Him, and somehow have created. So how could I have created the universe or created creatures through intelligent design? Let me just say that I am a believer in intelligent design, that God created it. I haven't exactly figured out how I could have created creatures. It works at a very slow process through evolution. It takes a long time. I think I remember talking about this in another link, but in evolution, it just takes a long time. I guess it, supposedly we came from apes over 1 million years ago, about 1 million years ago. When you think about it, it can. Oh, I think I know what. I think I looked in the spirituality link, 100th monkey phenomenon. Talk about evolution a little bit there, but one second. I can definitely understand the evolutionist people because they understand the length of time it takes to create change. It takes a long time. We can barely fathom 10 years of our lives. But that the notion that 10 years is literally one millionth of our planet's time. Is that right? 1 million? 10 years? 10 to be 10 let me think here. Yeah, the Earth has been here for 4 billion years, so if the 10 years, that's literally 1/400 millionth of a percent of the time that the Earth has been here. And that's not even counting the time that the Earth has been in existence around in the galaxy or in the universe. That's just the time that the Earth has been here. So it is and people have a hard time understanding what 400 million is. They hear it about some billionaire, some rich guy's got $400 million. It's just a term. Some people actually might think that, well, millions got 3 syllables and thousands got 2 syllables, so that makes it a little bit more. It's hard for a lot of people, especially poor people like me, to fathom what $1 million is. Although it's $1 million, $1 billion. It's just these words, and it's not quite so easy to understand. It's not, when it comes to time, that 100 years is a long time. It's our entire lifetime, and it's a long time to get to 1 million years. It is 10,000 and 1 million, and that changes in evolution. Changes. They say that evolutionists say that random chances, just random fluctuations, occur in nature, and then if those changes are strong, if they're promising, if that randomness, complete randomness, if it works out and they live on, then it was meant to be, and then they continue to reproduce. Well, here's the thing about that, and I'm going to show you some clips from this guy. It's called How Creatures Defy Evolution. There's 1, 2, and 3 volumes, and really good. I'm going to show you a couple clips, and let me just show you one, and I'll talk some more. So it's really important. This guy hits it on the button. Let's think about this creature, this muscle. It seems like it would have had to happen in just one generation change. And how it learned to squirt those eggs into that fish's mouth. there's a whole bunch of examples he's given of creatures, and it's really cool DVD to check out sometime. It really makes you appreciate the animals more. It really is just and God more. It puts you in touch with God. It really does. I'm not sure that I can take credit for this, and I'm going to get to that in a little bit. How I can be the creator, I'm not sure exactly. But as far as the beauty of this, that I mean, say it was just a step jump. Say it was just a little step jump, a little bit of the minnow sort of looking thing that comes out of the muscle, and then somehow it knows it has to shoot its eggs off. It's like you'll see these pictures on Google of having a third nipple or a third arm or something. It's like doesn't do anything productive. That's the randomness. Doesn't do anything productive. That benefits the species. And if that person lives on, and then they have a chance of passing that third arm on. And I think if that third arm was beneficial and you actually exercise it, I believe that it works itself into the DNA more. And that's like this thing that the brain does, that through experience. Boy, this is going to get into the brain thing. I believe that what we do in experience passes on to our generations. That's why I waited until I was 30 before I had kids, because I wanted, and I didn't even think that was even. I just reached the time that I said I got to have some kids now. I guess because it's been a while. I was married for almost 10 years, 9 or 10 years, and she wanted kids at day one. So I seemed like I never was ready to financially or anything else. But a large part of me wanted to wait until I got smart enough that I could pass on my genius to my kids. And it turns out I didn't know I was going to get even smarter as it went on. But that's the goal. That's what I was taught to believe, that you experience life and then you pass on your genes. And I believe that's how it works. But you pass on your experience and what you realize. But if there's a third arm you've got and you're exercising, it works good enough that you're exercising and you're making use of it, I'm pretty sure that you're going to pass it on easier to the next generation. Same thing with that's a strange thing that we can somehow, our DNA gets transformed or more. They say that memory is a chemical reaction. I think it's dopamine that actually helps you to remember the events. The neuron. Just saw this thing yesterday. The neuron combines with the chemical, and that helps you maintain that memory so that you can remember things. And somehow that memory of using that third arm to help lift up a tree or something is embedded in your brain, which is somehow embedded in your DNA, and your brain somehow affects your DNA. I don't quite know for sure the process in which the memorization of and the passing on, the actual embedding into the DNA, that says the DNA now has more of a memory. It's like our experience gets passed into our DNA, that passes on to our sperm and into the next kid. So if you've seen these third arm things coming out of a body, they're not that cool looking. They don't look like that useful of a limb. And so if you notice among us humans, that kind of a random mutation is pretty rare. I shouldn't say that. There's a lot of diseases that are going on. Seems like a lot of negative things going on. MS, spinal issues that make them, you can't walk or something. And so you got these. It seems like when there is a deformity, it's usually not for good. And if you count all the number of those defects, let's call all the changes, the third arm, they're all defects. But some of them are good, and some of them are beneficial. For humans, I have not really heard of one yet. And including, let's call all those, like spinal, all the, you know, coming out with a limb missing because you in the 50s they had a drug that screwed you up or something, or even today they've got stuff like that. These are random mutations, and I just don't hear of anything that's good from them. I haven't heard of. I'm trying to think if there's anything that have been good. Okay, I thought of one. There is these people that have memory, and they can remember things that happened 35 years ago on a certain day. Okay. First of all, that's strange, and it's also supernatural because they can also pick out the day of the. You say what the 4th of December in 1963. They'll say that's on a Thursday or something. Okay, that's supernatural. I'm sorry, you can't pull that off unless you got supernatural ability. That's bizarre. That nobody says what the hell. But somehow these people that have this kind of memory thing, and the scientists that are studying them, think that this is not supernatural. For some reason, I don't understand why the scientists think that this is could be possible, unless it was supernatural. Well, the memory thing isn't so much. Whenever somebody can pull a number, pull a day out of a week, that's it's an incredible calculation. It's not any calculation. It's I think a math wizard could pull it off in his head if you practice practice it for 5 straight years. But anyways, these people that can remember stuff, that's a defect. And there's only a few handful. There's a few dozen, I guess, they found now. And they think, why didn't that become us? Because that's a gift. That's a gift that we all would like to have. That's beautiful that we can remember. Well, it turns out that it's actually good to forget a bad memory, because what happens, these people live with bad memories and they can't stick with it when somebody does something bad to them once, and that's all they can remember for the future. And so they find that these people that have this kind of memory thing, they don't reproduce. They don't marry, and they don't reproduce. So it's actually a bad thing to be able to remember anything. So it's actually defective. It seemed like it'd be such a gift to be able to remember, the good times. Of course, that's great, but they can't remember. They can't forget the bad times. And that's what makes us humans better than them. I guess we're the ones to survive because we're better. Because it's bad to remember. It's bad to be able to remember because you can't forget the bad times. So but that is a case where you think that'd be good, and it might still be good, but the populations of them aren't showing up, and those people are exercising it, and they exercise it well. They use it to their job. They remember. They're radio show hosts that can remember it. So they are exercising it, and it should get passed on more. But it's not. It's not getting passed on. They barely can find it. They can barely find 24 of these people on the planet. 60 Minutes did a thing on these people, and they only had 6 at the time, or 7. But now they found, I guess, 2 or 3 dozen, or something like that, or 4. Anyway, but if this was actually, if it was a good thing, and they're exercising it, I'm sure they're using it to their advantage in whatever the job they're using. So they're exercising it. It should get passed on. It's not. So why not? There's probably other examples that I just can't think of right now. That are like, this is cool, but why isn't it getting passed on? I know there's these recessive genes that get passed on every other generation. You might come out with, there's people with deformed hands. Like I say, there's a lot of defects, and they're almost always negative. And it's not passed on in every generation. But And you can see evolution working because I can't remember her name. A friend at this. Give me a second. I can. Yeah, it's called Loaves and Fishes at Creekside. I got. Well, I forgot what I was talking about. I was working so long trying to find that. One second. There's this lady there that has sort of this skin condition, kind of a elephant disease, sort of. It just messes up the skin, produces bumps, and it's kind of warty and extra growth and stuff. It's just. So I asked her, does it get passed on? And it does. It gets passed on. And I asked her about her mom. She said it might get passed on. It might get passed on. So and it can skip a generation. So that's her mother knew this and also had it, risked it. Had this lady, I think her name's Mary somebody. Anyways, no, that's not, I don't think that's it. Anyways, nice lady, but visually she wasn't impressed, so she decided not to have any kids to do. She wanted to pass it on, and so I guess this is a way of evolution. This is what evolution is about. It's about passing on your genes, and if you can't survive, now she could survive. It's just she chose. This is kind of how evolution can work. It's just if you're good looking or attractive to the mates and all the things work out, you get passed on. I'm not sure other species actually care about how they look, like other than humans. Maybe they somehow do. Maybe the colorful ones, maybe that's why some of these creatures have color in them, to make them look fancier and dazzle the mate or whatever, and then they get passed on. And who knows exactly the recipe for passing on, but all I know is that of all the defects that I've seen, and I can't think of any more positive ones other than that memory one, and I'm not sure that's a positive trait. There appears to be no positive traits among us human that would say, let's advance, let's use it and try to pass it on. I don't know. I don't know anything. I can't think of anything. I'll have to maybe make an update later. I was thinking of another thing. Is some of these savants. It's strange because they're so gifted at the piano, or Kim Lee, if you can remember anything in a book from 3 years ago that he read, the individual page. See, that's supernatural. It's strange that these scientists think that this is like somehow normal, that these people can be so screwed up when they're born, and yet so incredible when they come. And yet, who's gonna? I don't know if they're trying to mate these guys with anybody. I don't even know if these guys can get it up. I don't even know how they can. Maybe they're experimenting with that. I don't know, with the sperm labs or something, or taking them and trying to see if they can do something with them. That'd be interesting to find out. They'd be some stupid idiots not to try mating with those guys. And yet my sister Ramona won't even take me because I got bipolar, and so it's like these women got to be really specific. It's fucking women that think that they're so freaking high on life that they got to be picky about their offspring. It's strange, and yet, like I say, if scientists didn't find some women to try to pass on their genes, I might just hang my. I don't know. I found out yesterday that they didn't. That when the body dies, I guess you lose some mass, about 21 grams or about an ounce or so. It's a significant amount. It can actually make an explosion. That's actually a semi-atomic bomb. It's like a megaton of dynamite. It's huge, huge, huge energy. And yet the body is not exploding, but it loses energy and it just comes out and you drop the weight. Very strange phenomenon. And I was livid yesterday with the understanding that this guy was shunned. He only was able to do 4 bodies, 6, but 2 of them kind of were failed, didn't quite. So only 4 solid evidence of this existing. Then he did some. Then they shunned him away out. They kicked him out of the place that he was doing the experiment, and he worked on his own on some dogs and found out dogs don't have the weight loss, indicating that humans have a huge amount of energy in their soul or the spirit. And I was just fuming yesterday that this could be happening. That us as scientists don't find that this is interesting. That I guess there's an excuse. So we'll let them die peacefully, or it's like I'm thinking, how hard is it to just let them lay on a special bed while they die? There's a lot of these people got tuberculosis back in 1900. Just a lot of sicknesses back then. And just, I don't understand how horrible it is to mention, hey, can you just lay in this bed over here? It's a special bed that we can weigh you, and just, if you're going to die here in the next few weeks, maybe we'll just monitor your weight loss and, put on the computers, computer monitors, and we'll just, they'll die and we'll measure the weight. But I guess he was ridiculed back then. I forget the guy's name. It's on Snoops.com, Weight of the Soul. And, the guy's name is Dr. McDougall. So, yeah, it's interesting experiment. I'd like to continue on, and I think this could be the key to determining if indeed God exists. I mean, if the supernatural exists, that means, well, I'm pretty sure the reason why there's that much energy in a human and not in a dog. I guess the dog had no weight loss, so I'm guessing that entire energy is based on the fact that we're conscious. And so I'm not sure if dolphins are quite conscious. Dolphins and humans are the only ones that can experience pleasure with sex. So I'm curious if dolphins can have a weight loss when they die. I'm curious if they're conscious. Perhaps they'll have a weight loss. But imagine that much energy is needed to create consciousness. And that gets into the reason that can be. The only reason why that can be is if God exists. Thus, God is working through us and making creatures as well. I'm pretty sure that the idea with Dr. McDougall is that dogs don't have a soul. And I'm pretty sure from personal experience, like a long time ago, I sucked in a bunch of spirits, and a lot of them were horses, animals, including plants. So I'm pretty sure all life has a spirit. It's just, in order to actually be conscious, we are actually supernatural beings. And some of us are given gifts, like the ones that have that memory, that long memory to the past. That's supernatural. Basically, the supernatural is well disguised. But for some reason, these savants have to be crippled in order to actually have the gift. I am, in some sense, very crippled as well. Society does not accept me very well. I do not blend in based on my thinking pattern. And so in that sense, I am extremely disabled. I am one of the most disabled people on the planet. At the same time, one of the most gifted. So it's a weird oxymoron. But this experiment, I'm glad I came upon this. This was just a couple of days ago. I saw this, I saw this show, and it just blew my mind. This guy was shunned. This guy, poor guy, people were picking on him. How dare you experiment with this? And it's just people's absurdity with intelligent design. Professors get fired for talking spirituality, and it's strange because it sounds like 50% of Americans are Christians or something, or religious, so they must be leading a double life where they walk into their college and as a professor and doing research, and they can't ever talk about anything unusual going on. Can't talk about supernatural. They get fired. Damn, man. It's weird. It's weird that we have this split personality going on in society. Go to church Sunday, everything's all hunky-dory. Let's talk God. Let's talk about forgiveness, and then this all the weird crap they talk about with religion. Pulled this plum from this tree of and ate it, and that created evil. They can believe that, and they can't believe that we might be supernatural just in our nature of being a human being because we drop weight when we die. Holy crap, man! What a revelation that is. I hope to. I hope that's solved in less than 6 months from today. I hope. Oh boy, I don't know. It's been 100 years. I don't know. But it would answer the question about intelligent design. Is there something unusual going on? And if I can prove there is something supernatural going on in this world, it would prove my existence as being, hypothetically being God. If I was to prove supernatural exists, and I have plenty of other ways of proving that I'm God, but or supernatural being, but I wanted to make it funny. I had a glitch with my system. My equipment failed, and I was had to re-record. I was listening to my previous recording, and I said my sister Ramona wouldn't find me good enough to mate with. That may have come across a little bit funny there. What I meant to say is a person of my condition, which is bipolar. Literally, she's my sister, so she wouldn't want to mate with me. But it's also possible that maybe one of her kids is one of my magic kids, or maybe both of them. So to be determined one day. I want to show another clip here and then I'll explain kind of why the reasons. He didn't talk in his clips about the things that I'm talking about here, but I'm going to show this clip and then explain to you why he's why evolution couldn't work. Let me try to find that clip.
In Mexico, there is a little bee. It's a little tiny bee. It's not a whole lot bigger than a flea. It's a true bee. It doesn't have a stinger, but it is a bee. It's called the Melipona bee, or the Melipona bee. And this little bee is closely identified with something that all of us have enjoyed from time to time called vanilla. And I will ask people, do you know where vanilla comes from? And they will say, oh yeah, the vanilla bean. And then we'll say, well, where does the bean come from? Well, it comes from a tree. Well, no, not really. It comes from an orchid. And the vanilla orchid grows up a tree as a vine. And here is the problem. The vanilla orchid only blooms one morning out of the year. Now, they don't all bloom on the same morning, but it'll bloom 2.5, 3 hours. And then by afternoon, it wilts, and it can't be pollinated. But why is there a problem here? Well, because the vanilla bean pollen is covered with a little septum down inside the flower, so the pollen can't get out. And so God made a little bee called the Melipona bee that knows exactly what to do to pollinate the vanilla flower so that we can get the vanilla bean, so that we can have vanilla, which most of us enjoy. And this little bee will come up to the flower, and it knows how to land on the flower, push up the septum, find the little entrance there, and go in. And then when it comes out, it has pollen with it, and it'll go to the next one. And this little bee was made for the orchid, and without the bee, You just don't have the vanilla bean. Now, that came up way back in the day of Hernando Cortez. And Cortez, when he came over here, went to Mexico, liked vanilla, took some back with him to Europe, and then for 300 years, they grew vanilla plants. I guess they did it with cuttings because they didn't get any beans. So, that was 1519. In 1836, a man named Morin decided, I'm going to go to Mexico. I'm going to find out why they get the vanilla bean in Mexico. We don't get the vanilla bean in Europe. So he went to Mexico. He sat down with the vanilla flowers and watched them. And all of a sudden, one day, he hears this, and he looks, and there's that little mellifluous bee. And he saw it land, lift up the septum, find the little entry point, goes in, and I now know why they get vanilla in Mexico and we don't get it. And so here comes artificial pollination. And then they started growing vanilla in the European areas, and they could get it because they had to artificially pollinate it, because that little bee is the only insect that knows how to pollinate that particular orchid. So the orchid and the bee are made for each other. They had to both be made together at the same time. Otherwise, in one generation, the vanilla is going extinct because there's nothing there to pollinate it if the little bee isn't there. But if the little bee doesn't have the information to know how to get into the flower, which other insects apparently don't know how to do that, well, then you still get an extinct flower. So they had to be made together. So I think that shows that our Creator has made these things in such a way that if we carefully study them, we're face to face with a dilemma here. Could this be an accident, or could this have been created like it is? And I think he wants us to say, hey, look at this. This was created just like it is, and then he gets the glory, and he gets the thanks for doing that.
Wow, that's a vanilla plant, and therefore, no vanilla. Thank you, little bee.
I was going through the video today, and it must have been my frame of reference the day before yesterday when I was looking through this video. Being the agnostic, I'm skeptical, and yet after I found out about the Snopes, the weight of the soul, and this soul having, for some reason, my mindset is now that I'm, it's almost like I've transformed. I've almost in some sense, I couldn't find this. I couldn't find the side that said, "Hey, this is evolution," or there's an excuse. You'll see, like dogs. I guess I could have brought the spot out, the point of dogs. How did dogs evolve? Well, they could have been from wolves or something, and because he had a bit on there. That wasn't even what I was trying to find the spot. It was shortly after the one about the muzzle, the muscle, and it was on horses. And I'm like, I don't know if it almost seems like as though Netflix played a game on me. I could have swore the pieces were mixed up, were actually maneuvered around, because I could have swore horses were later. It should have been the second clip with the horses, but it wasn't the horses, so I don't know what's going on. It's a Truman Show thing where there are people playing games now with me or something. I don't know, man. I swear a lot of things were different, but I could. It's a side topic, but I couldn't. The other day I was skeptical. I could see both sides, the evolution. Anyways, like what this guy will say, this doctor here on the show will say that this could have been no way of random chance of this happening. And when I saw it 2 days ago, I said, no, it's possible with some randomization, that certain species will die, will make it, and others will die off, and the ones that survive will work. But as I've talked in this discussion here, and it's about. You would think that some of these drugs that we're taking that screw us up and produce, no hands or no limb or something, you would think one of them would produce something that's going to be beneficial. You really would. If the randomness can go both ways, why aren't we seeing any positive things from these drugs or whatever we're taking, whether somebody's doing marijuana or what, you know, just doing something, taking something that's just going to, it usually screws you up. And you find nothing beneficial in it, and you find nobody passing on that. And I don't find it on 60 Minutes that's saying, oh, yeah, this person has this, and it's working out, you know, that they benefited from this drug where other, you know, it's just, I'm not seeing that. So I'm just not seeing the random mutations occurring in our society that says that something is beneficial. Now, normally, again, and earlier in the video I talked about that it takes a long time, like thousands of years. So, but these random mutations are such of the drugs that we're taking. Things like that, they're the random mutations. So that's a immediate evidence that we can find that says, do these random mutations help us out? I'm finding none. But if you think in the long term, there's this one monkey that was on, there's a name, he's a famous monkey that they found in I don't know, Africa or something. Anyways, it turns out he likes humans. He's very human-faced looking. Not very human, but he's different. And there was speculation whether he, you know, some human banged him or something. Somebody banged him other. Because this ape would try to hump humans. And again, I would hope that for the sake of science that we, you know, some human lady would say, listen, I'll try to take it, you know, I don't know, just try to mate the damn thing with humans, see what happens. Jesus, man. I mean, aren't we curious? I mean, God, we're all humans, and but we're humans, and we have feelings and stuff. Shut up. But that's an indication of a jump of the species to more human. If something occurred 1 million years ago, it would be something like that. Now, if the 100th monkey phenomenon is accurate, that's looking at the spirituality link, then you would think that a bunch of monkeys at one shot would have been like this monkey. And then, but it didn't happen like that. So, the way I can see with the 100 monkey phenomenon and evolution taking place is, if humans did come from apes, and I sort of believe it, but I believe that it was guided via God, okay, intelligent design. I do believe that we came from apes in that sense. But there was a jump, and I believe there was a bunch of humans, and like hundreds of thousands, in a generation, and we leaped, and then pretty quickly we leaped again, and then fairly quickly we leaped again, and I say within 20 generations we were distinguishedly looking from an ape to a human. I'm pretty sure it happened via intelligent design, via God, in a form where it combines evolution and it does it, these leaps occurring a bunch, using the 100th monkey phenomenon, bunches of people at one time, and but people, I mean, like monkeys, and then the monkey human, and monkey human, then human monkey, and then human, in say 100 generations or less. You've got that sort of a leap going on, but it has to be in populace, because you have to have something to mate with. So it's got to be a God, and I'm a soul believer. It's almost like I've lost my touch with evolution because I couldn't find that link. I still swear Netflix is messing with that movie, but I couldn't even find any flaws in his thinking. Well, this could be, except for maybe the dogs. It's like, well, that could have been wolves, and or other four-legged animals. It's like, where'd they come from? Well. anyways, you got to check out this series, this documentary. It's really good, and but it appears as though I'm definitely on the side of God. It's weird. One second. It's kind of weird. I'm an agnostic who thinks he's God. At the same time, I'm looking for evidence to support it, and I have found it. That loss of weight when you die is it. That is it. And ever since that point, I'm like, I don't know if maybe I'm no longer an agnostic. I don't know. That's it. I'm sure that guy's onto something, and I need somebody to find out. Hopefully me, to run some tests. And that would be the proof of supernatural. And once we have proof of supernatural, you won't find the magicians ever portraying that they have supernatural powers. So you won't catch them saying anything. So it's got to be, that's the experiment that's going to do it. And it appears that I've almost leaped in my faith out of the agnostic into a believer of God, and that I am Him. I know that sounds kind of weird, but yeah, this is a good document series. It's definitely intelligent design exists. It is working with evolution over a very slow process, but I believe that it leaps at certain points, and that's how you get animals that are distinguishably different. In this documentary, you'll find, a lot of species have, like, a lot of scientists, a lot of evolutionary people can't have an explanation for how penguins came about. They don't have and other animals too, but penguins, they don't have, where'd that come from? They're birds that no longer fly and they went swimming. I guess there's scientists can't figure this out, and the reason is because they don't have faith. They don't have intelligence, because it takes some intelligence to believe in God. And it takes some intelligence to understand that it's way too complicated, that life that we would naturally have the randomizations it would take to get through life. Let me, one more thing. There's random mutations that are occurring on our planet, of just humans. None of them are productive. They're all losing limbs. Nothing unproductive that would benefit society. I've seen nothing randomization in just humans. I'm actually seeing nothing in nature of where there's like a weird offshoot of this certain species, and they're saying, oh, this might turn into something, and we'll check it out. I haven't seen anything that says that. And I was just looking at humans. I've seen nothing in humans that says, yes, we're maybe branching to a different thing, No, I'm not seeing it. I just thought of something I want to talk about is my wish gene. And that we're being conscious. But yeah, I'm not seeing anything in nature. I haven't seen any documentaries in nature that says, oh yeah, this is they either say it's a new species, or I haven't heard any shows say, well, we think this is a slight offshoot from this species here. It's got this extra leg. It's got 7 legs instead of 6, or something. Never seen anything like that on the nature shows. It's always there. It's either a species, or it's not like a species in a quarter, or not a species in a third. It's not. We're not seeing a species in a third. We're seeing a species, or a species, or a species. So, and I want to talk about me being the creator.
Wow, that's amazing. Animals we've looked at has been designed to function flawlessly in its environment. It's obvious that behind each creature is a designer. But who is genius enough and brilliant enough to design such wonderful creatures?
Well, we spent some time talking about incredible creatures that defy evolution, and they really do. Everything we've looked at is created and designed. It has purpose. It has function. It has a coordination of so many things that have to all be there. They have to all be there at the same time. When we look at the design that we see in everything that we've looked at, everything in nature, from plant to animal to rock, there's design. Well, that seems to say to me there is a designer. If you have a design, you have a designer. If you have a piece of art, you have an artist. If you have a creation, you have a creator. We have a creation. We have a creator. He designed us so that we would fellowship with him. That's why he created us. That's why he designed us, so that he could have us to bring him glory and to fellowship with. And so he offers us this free gift of salvation through his Son that paid the terrible price of his passion. But then he didn't stay dead. He came up out of the tomb at the resurrection. So we have a risen Lord who is our Creator and is our Redeemer. And he loves us, and he wants a relationship with each of us.
As far as me being the creator, I'm not sure how. I figured I was just kind of the indirect. You know, I'm Jesus, and I came down and assumed the spirit, and I'm taken over or whatever. But I saw this thing yesterday. I'm doing a lot of video looking lately, and there was this interesting video on from a scientific perspective, a different take of. They're talking all kinds of the mumbo jumbo of the physics stuff, and the brain and the neurons and quantum stuff, and it seemed really intelligently done. I need to learn some stuff in physics before I can understand that this was made sense. Or after I looked into who made it, I question whether some guy just cut and pasted a jokester that really professionally done video. Possible they copy pasted all the sort of terms in a physics book and slapped them into a very well done movie. Let me explain that a little bit. Athene's Theory of Everything, and it is a well done video. Athene, A-T-H-E-N-E. Now, like I say, this guy is a jokester. He's a little bit of a jokester, but he's also studying physics. So I'm not sure if he's taking claim for a bunch of his friends who are maybe physics PhDs. I'm not sure, although it sounded well done. It's just so much that I need to know about physics before I can believe this. But what I got from it is that time is working in reverse somehow. And from that, I was just trying to think how that can make sense. First of all, if I'm even understanding, if I'm even taking something from what he's saying right, whether one second. He makes claims in another clip that he's up there with Einstein and Newton and Galileo. So I'm going to study this one more time. It's hard to chew in because there's so many terms that I'm not sure how it all flavors, and I have to do it. It's just a lot of. Like I say, I don't know whether this is some joke. Anyways, what I got from it is that somehow time is flipped, that we're reflection outward like a mirror, and it actually pieces together some of the things that are the holes that are missing in physics, some of the things that can't explain. That if we reverse time, that actually when the clock was forward, we're actually seeing a mirror of it. Somehow that the Big Bang, in some sense, the end of time. And that we're going toward the beginning in some sense, in which it's possible that I create the universe. In the future, in our future here, I will, hypothetically, if my show would ever evolve, hypothetically, we'd have something. There would be a universe that I would have created via, well, not so much created, but enhanced. We're going to explore new worlds, I assume, and do a lot of things to the universe, not just our world, but to the universe. And in some sense, decorated the universe. As something to think about, interesting, is that normally when you mix in a solution, two solutions together, as time goes by, normally you have something stable and something stable, and when you combine them, it actually creates more chaos. This is the actual normal order of events in the world, is that we should be creating more chaos. So this is something to think about, that we're actually not creating more chaos. We're actually becoming more ordered. So in some sense, that reversal thing is almost something true about it. So I'm not sure yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. But that we are actually creating more order in our world, and eventually it seems like the universe is actually becoming more ordered. Where there was a lot of chaos, it's becoming more ordered. It's settling out. In some sense, some sense it's a chaos theory that normally the way more things go, it's like you take two as an experiment. So you take a little bit of this, some marble over here and some corn nuts over here, and you put a shaker to it, and they become mixed and they become chaos. That's what happens normally when you mix two systems. Well, we're all mixed together, and we're becoming more ordered. So is it possible that I, in some sense, create the universe, say, in 100,000 years, we've decorated the whole place? In some sense, it was already here, but we've decorated it. Given 100,000 years, we've explored a lot of stuff. So aside from that, how could I have created these creatures that are already here? I guess the same question, how could I have created all the planets that are already here, all the suns, all the stars? Is it possible in the future I get powers and I can say, well, I'd like to change the past, and I have done so? And I do it with a very slow motion process that I realized from growing up that we need to create something that's well disguised so that people do not catch on, because it's not time for them to catch on. That we will create all the things in history that have created, we're pre-done by design. And this is actually a theory, that we're all part of a design, that we are. Everything that's been happening so far is via, like the Matrix, is done via a program. Even some people have said it's a computer program. I talked about it in another, what topic was that? I talk about, if you look really close at a monitor, you'll actually see the pixels. If you look really close at my skin, you'll actually see the atoms. You gotta look real close, but you'll see the atoms, you'll even see the quarks. So everything's pixelized. Everything has a finite thing to it, if you look closely enough. And they say that could be a program, a well-designed program. Is it possible that I, in the future, say, I'm pretty sure I'm immortal right now, sort of immortal right now. I become fully immortal I become Superman, where I'm flying around or whatever. Who knows how many years that'll be? But I say I want to create a world in which starts with the Big Bang, and it's going to take some time, and it's going to take, 9-10 billion years for the Earth to show up, the Sun and the Earth and the galaxy and that solar system, and then 4 billion years more. I think that's about right, the timeline there. And then, in the meanwhile, I'm going to trick everybody for thinking that there's nothing unusual going on. That it's just natural. This process is just natural. And then I will have my son. Isn't that, I just thought of it, that I just have my son. I'm pretty sure there's aliens involved here that have modified some eggs. I think there's some helpers. It's called these gray aliens. I think they changed some things. Anyways, and they're going to help. They're going to help out. There's going to be some helpers to make sure that everything goes according to plan. But that I as God, in the future, I'll be as God. I will have my son, Chris Roller, or another name probably. We don't know the name for sure. But he will be my son, and I will give him my powers, and we'll start the process all over. And perhaps I'm gone at that point, and we start over. Or I start off another universe. Maybe what I kicked off was another universe. I get to a certain point, I kick up another universe, and then that offspring, that Chris Roller, gets fully evolved, fully matures, and kicks off another universe. Parallel timeline kind of thing. They say there's infinite universes. I'm just thinking of this thing. This is actually interesting. I'm kind of whipping this stuff on the fly here. Let me think a little more about this. But if this little scheme I've mentioned is true, I would make sure that there would be intelligent design, just as I've just said, as I've described, a evolution process mixed in with creation that disguises it extremely well, so that we fool everybody, so that we don't get too far ahead of ourselves, because we're going to wait for that certain moment when Chris Roller shows his face in his show, and then we can all merge to the new millennium, the dawn of a new day or something, whatever that's called. While I'm thinking of some more stuff, I want to talk a little bit about my wish gene and evolution, and that I think that I have this wish gene, and I think we all do, that you can actually, when the kid is in the womb, you can actually hope to be healthy and hope for more hair. Say your husband's bald and you want to hope for more hair. Even the husband can, in his sperm, even before he's impregnated you, say, prayed that my kid have more hair, or a bigger wiener or something, or whatever the hell you want, a third nipple, or more intelligence or something, it's and then you wish it, and it can actually happen. I'm pretty sure this has happened with my kids. That not only was when I was developing myself to better myself to pass on the genes, but that whole endearing effort was the will that I wanted to have my kid be better than me. Just the mere will, just the mere wish itself is good enough. Is part of that process, although I believe physically actually enabling yourself, actually exercising that will as yourself does actually modify the DNA. But the will power can also do it, and anybody can do this, I think. I believe that I have extra gift, and that I have a very powerful wish gene that can be, you can modify. My son has big ears because my ex-wife, Maria, has big ears. I didn't even know it, so I never took her hair away. She has fairly large ears. Dylan had them. I didn't know this. I didn't know about the ears thing. So Maria was conscious of this, and Nicole does not have the big ears. What else? What I'm saying is Nicole was the second kid. Maria was conscious of this and wished. I also wished I didn't. Dylan doesn't have that big of ears. It's not that big a deal. It's just, let's keep minor
It's really stupid to be worrying about stuff like that. Really, and yet there is a beauty toward the world, and I can't help to succumb to it myself. But we like things to be a certain way. I have tried to fix up my hair. So I've wished on my kid Dylan to have lots of hair. Also for perfect eyes, so he doesn't have to wear glasses. So far that's held true. No problem there. He's 14 and no glasses. I was wearing glasses at I think 12, 13. Anyways, you never know about that, but we'll see. The hair thing. Maria's side has a huge head of hair, but I'm pretty sure that just me wishing that on Dylan will stop that gene, whatever it is in the genes that causes baldness. Again, I can't help succumb to the beauty efforts. I am human. I pick on those that look for that stuff. At the same time, I do the same. So, and thus I pick on myself. But what else? Me and Maria had brown eyes, but I never was one of my concerns to the eye color. But it's totally possible to change eye color just by sheer willing it. Two brown eye color parents, no doubt, can produce different colored eyes. My daughter has pretty blonde hair, and both of the parents are very dark, are brownish hair. So it's just about what you want, and it is about beauty too. You know, you wish beauty and you wish for healthy. You don't want any problems like the missing limbs or anything. God, geez, it's just, you know. What else? I think there's another thing I want to talk about. Just thinking about interspecies dating. I mean, what you would think that God would make a system where we could just start banging anything and create a whole bunch of species. That would be the way to randomize things. This is, if I wanted to survive the best, I'd make sure that I could bang a horse and mate with a horse, mate with a pig, and produce, you know, just bang everything inside and produce something. And that would be the best random mutation if evolution holds true. You just start banging everything. You would think that would be the best way for me to survive as a species. If I'm meant to solely survive as a species, survival of the fittest, then why the hell wouldn't I make my sperm adaptable to many other species other than humans? And the same for every species that's on the planet. Other species cannot mate with other things. And I guess a horse and a donkey can make a mule, but the mule is almost always infertile. So even if close things can mate, usually the offspring is infertile. So there's nothing in the species in nature that allows us to just start cross-pollinating like the plants can do. Even plants, I don't think, can cross-pollinate that much. It's got to be close to a cousin. But, you know, I suppose I could try, you know, some experiments with a dog and a cat and a pig and a horse, you know, and see if something happens, you know. Just kidding. Anyways, I'm sure that somebody out there has done this, and it's not because they were experimental. It's not because they were scientific. But it's because of that nature has said the randomization is far less random than you think. In order to jump species like that, it has to be, like I say, if that little story about in the future I create another universe, I'd have to make almost all the species available before there was ever video cameras or ever documentation, before people became smart. We've only become smart in the last 150 years. Basically, since last century, that's it. We were pretty stupid before that, and so I'd have to make all the species before that and provide all the evidence that indicates that there is some evidence that there's an evolutionary process along the lines, fossils and stuff, and it's possible that my show currently exists when my Creator God put me here on earth as Jesus or Allah or whatever you want to call it, and my show was created in one shot. My scenery was created at the start, or when I was born, or even when I was conscious. I wasn't even conscious of my existence until, what, 2 or 3. I don't have a memory until I was like, I think 4, right? Perhaps God just wham bam, the show starts right then. I will give you all the evidence to support the fact that everything existed before that. I'll give you all the people, all the fossils, all the stars, everything out there. Give you the existence that your show, that the world's been there for 4.5 billion years, and the universe has been there for, what, 14, and we're going to create this illusion. It's magic. It's a magic illusion trick. And then maybe that's what I do in the future, is create this illusion for my son to become God at the start of his show and create the scenery, and perhaps this is the show. I did think about that one a while back. Was my show is this an illusion? I realize the people are here, but it could have been everything created for the purpose of the show. Interesting topic. Boy, this is going to be. I didn't realize this would get so interesting. That my father had a father, and so on. So yeah, I would have to create almost all the species. I don't think any new species, we discover new species, but we have never discovered that a new species was created within the last 100 years. Isn't it amazing? The world's been here for 4 billion, and we basically have become conscious of it in only the last 100 years. Maybe 100, maybe 150 years. Not very long ago. I mean, we can actually document things. There's just so little documented. It's just unreal. And so I could have easily have created everything we needed to through, even as I described, I could create it, but I would need to disguise it with sort of some kind of disguise of the fossil. But I think the way I would do it is, as I said, evolution, but a step approach. Amount of population would have to increase. What's the word? Not increase, but population of a certain species would progress toward the next species over 20 or 100 generations, and to get that moving, so that it would create sort of an evidence of fossil evidence. So it'd be only a small stage between one species to the other of that evidence, but it might be there. Understand, fossils aren't necessarily. They can't find, like, every year from the past million years. They can't find a fossil from every year. You know, year minus 1 million, year minus 999,999. Okay, you get it? They can't. You don't. So you sort of take a chance that at least there's enough evidence to provide the evidence that there is a plausible explanation for this, other than something supernatural. That's the way I would do it at this point. Although I could change my mind. I have done it. I have changed my mind before, but we'll see. I don't even know about this future thing, but it is. Think about the chaos theory. That could the future be actually the beginning in some sense? That time reverses itself. That chaos we should be becoming more chaotic, and yet we're becoming more ordered, the opposite of chaos theory. And because of what this, I'm going to check out this movie one more time. Again, the creator is sort of a jokester, a theatrical kind of dude who's playing around now with physics ideas. And a very well done movie he made. And I'm just going to see what I can piece from it. And I take any ideas. In this movie, his Athene's theory, he says, in order you have to step back. There's a portion of the mind that says you need to think of the normal in order to blend in, and there's a certain portion of the brain that says step back and and look back at another approach, and then So I'm really good at that. I'm definitely not good at blending in. That's for damn sure. But maybe that's a good thing, because I tend to even look at this guy's wild video, and it's not so wild. It's just so out there. I don't know what to quite make of it at this point, but I took what I could from it, and I thought about maybe the time reversal. And I think there's other things that once I understand physics better, that it might just make sense. And so I'm really anxious to learn some more physics, to catch up on that. I can't think of anything more at this point, but I might make an addendum later. That's a lot of stuff to chew on. So, take care.